All right, let's start by going over those questions. So I'm gonna be going. You won't be able to see it, but I'm going to go back and forth between some windows here. So the first question said, "Why are there chords marked above the measures when the chord changes in the measure?" So let me get back to that screen here. So this looks like an example of the overall chord that's happening there. So if you're looking at all the notes here, so looks the lowest note in there, that is a E. So you have an E, a D, another D, and a G. So what an E minor 7 chord is made of, you have an E note, a G note, a B note, and a D note. So the thing that's missing here is the B. And without getting too in depth with theory right now, I could tell you basically, like, if you played an E and a B, just those notes together, that's the E5 power chord. You've been doing them down here, you've done it over here, you've done it over here. So anytime you have an E and a B together, that's power chord. Power chords do not have a major or minor quality. They don't have a major or minor sound. So they're really just emphasizing a root note. That's how I look at it. So you don't always need that note, the fifth interval. It's called a fifth chord because you're playing the root note plus the fifth note higher in a major scale. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and play an E major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, land on the fifth note, that's why it's called a fifth interval. That's how high up it is from the root note. So a lot of chords, you can get away with taking the fifth interval out and it can still sound like the overall chord, in this case the E minor 7. So that's what you're holding that there. So the chord is not really changing, you're just like playing parts of the chord within like that bar right there. This, the overall thing that's happening, is a G chord. This is an instance of when, I think we talked about this. We did talk about this. I think you were asking about a Neil Young song. And I was like, well, how are you supposed to be like all this precise with hitting only certain strings? I don't know why the hell I just said that twice. Hitting specific strings when you're strumming stuff. So this is kind of like they're trying to make this tablature, like the MIDI playback, sound exactly like the song as much as possible. It's not important to only hit those strings. Like when I play it, I'm strumming the whole thing. So I would do the same thing. I'm not trying to go, what the heck, like the, like that's just silly. I mean, we hit that, the single note, but playing it, it's been a while. So yeah. Anyway, so the G chord is basically, that's the gist of what's going on there. You're really just holding a G5 chord, because without that B note there, it's just a G5 power chord. You've played them like this and like that, and maybe over here, but basically the G and D notes together, that's a G5 power chord. And when you do it like this, when you mute out the A string, you have G, D, G, D, G. So it's just G's and D's all over. When you add in that B note here, then it becomes a G major. So he could have just marked this as a G5 chord and been fine. I mean, you do have the B note coming in here on that little fill, but if you want to get real technical, it's like, well, then you'd have to include the A note as part of the chord, the overall thing for the whole thing. So it's just, it's not necessary, pretty much. So yeah, these chords are just simplifying what's happening. Same thing here, the A7 suspended 4. Because you have, let's see. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's right. making sure that that is the correct chord name. That sounds good to me. Yeah, it's just the overall thing there is A7 suspended 4. Let's see. I think that's basically the gist of it all there. Same thing here, a C chord. I mean, it's they're being like trying to be real specific with how to strum it. I wouldn't worry about that at all. Just hold down the C chord and strum the rhythm itself. That's all that really matters there. So hopefully that answers that question. Let's see. Go back to what you sent. What? Okay, so, what is the slash mark in the first part of the third measure, Sunshine Your Love? Oh, that's a transition slide. So, yeah, it looks like a slash mark, but it's not. At least when I'm thinking slash mark, I'm thinking rhythm slash. You might not be thinking that. But yeah, so the technical term is, basically it's a slide thing. So what you do for that particular note is you're basically sliding up into the note while picking the string and applying pressure at the same time. Doesn't really matter where you're doing it from, but it sounds like this. So you're starting somewhere lower on the fretboard, and then you're going to, again, pick while you apply pressure and slide up at the same time. It's a fast motion. So instead of, you don't want to hear a note and then slide up. That's not the goal. That's not the goal. This is the goal. You can do it real close. You can do it real far. Let's see, like from where we're at here. So, like I'm ending here, and then like I instinctively went all the way down here to go up into that. Probably makes more sense to use the ring finger though, doesn't it? So yeah, that's all it is just you're picking and sliding up into it at the same time. It's kind of like a shift slide, I believe it's called. Well, let's see. Slide in from below. No, it's not a shift. Yeah, shift slide is when you're actually this, where you're picking a note and then anyway. The shift slide would be like if I'm going from 7 to 12, you pick, and then you pick the 12 when you get up there, and you hear the slide happen. It's kind of like what we've been doing with the chords, so trying to get you to basically do shift slides. Even though a lot of times I don't even bother with shift slides when I'm transcribing or doing something or writing things out, because if it's like an inevitable slide kind of thing, like, well, if I want to get really technical, I might put it in. But a lot of times it's just one of those things that's going to happen. So yeah, that's a shift slide, what I was thinking of. But yeah, that's just sliding up into the note. You can slide down to a note too. So that's what that slash mark is. It is a slide. Alright, let's see. Next question. Alright, so am I right? I don't know. Are there 3 different F chords throughout the Hey, Hey, My, My? Examples, measures 7, 19, 35, and possibly 33. Well, let's see. You said 7. You did say 7, didn't you? Hang on, what did you say? 3 different F chords. Well, measure 7, and I clicked on that right now. At least when I'm looking at the main thing there, that's definitely not an F chord. So measure 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is not an F. That is an A minor chord. So turn that off. That's A minor. Let's see. Let me turn on everything here. You kind of need the bass and the drums. What am I doing? Just have those two. Alright, so this is both guitars at the same time right now. So the one that highlighted, that's an A minor chord. You could do it like this. I think that's the one you asked me about before. This right here is also not an A minor. Well, it's not an A minor chord. It's also not an F chord. Doing it this way, you could. Well, let's see. There's a couple ways you can name it. And actually, yes, the one that came up first was one of the first I was thinking of. So you can say it's an F major 7 with an A in the bass. Because you got F major 7 is this. Just those notes there, the 3, 2, 1, 0. That's the F major 7. When you throw, and then just A in the bass. So that's what that slash that forward. Well, I'm kind of pointing. I gotta remember. I've got to point the other way. The forward slash is telling you this is what's in the base of the chord. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the root note. The root note is still F. So that's still the root note. You can have a note be lower in the chord and not be the root note. So the root note is still F. The root note, because that's how we get our name for the chord. It's like F is our starting point, and then we get the different notes that branch out from it, and we put those notes together, or we understand. Basically, the name of a chord is telling you what the notes are, what notes are being used. If you understand the interval spacing from note to note to note, then you can piece it all together there. And that's something it's going to be a while before we get to that. Just so you know. And we'll have to take theory, very tiny steps. So I don't expect you to fully, totally grasp everything I'm throwing at you right now, but I just want to give a quick general thing there. So basically, F is the root note of that chord. When it says major 7, it tells me what notes are being used. And then you have the slash A. That tells me, oh, well, the lowest note that we're going to use is A. So we're actually putting something deeper in the sound of the chord than the F. So there you go. Probably just, I hope I didn't confuse the hell out of you too much. Maybe it made some sense. All right, let's see. Measure number 19. Okay. So, yes, that is an F major 7. I don't know what the heck's going on with that. Let's see. No, that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know if that's how it's actually supposed to sound in the song. It is kind of weird that bass note's going down there like that. You could be doing it something like. So that's the F major 7 there, and then the way that thing is tabbed out for. It's marked electric guitar, which is not shown on the screen, but you can see that in your file. Again, this is just the F major 7 with the A for the bass. So again, the first thing you asked about, bar number 7, or measure 7. This one here, that is an A minor chord, not an F. That is an F major 7 with A for the root. And then, was it 19? Yes. And then this is an F major 7 again. Obviously that's just on its own, but yeah, that chord, that's F major 7. Technically this is also an F major 7, but it has an A in the bass. And what was the other one? Said maybe 3. Oh, look at 33 and 35. Let's look at them both. Okay, well this is basically an A minor chord. Well, I mean, that is an A minor chord. I mean, you have the A note there, and then that right there is just that's A minor. Let's look ahead at 35. Yeah, again, that's just your F major 7 with an A for the bass. So that's what's happening there. So hopefully that answers that question. And let's see, number 4. What does it matter which string you break? You mentioned about, yeah, so ignore that, ignore that, ignore that. Don't bother breaking anything. All that is the person is trying to make it sound in the MIDI playback. In other words, Guitar Pro playing it back, trying to make the MIDI guitar sound as close to the original recording as possible. That's just the dude moving his hand. That's all it is. You're actually not supposed to string break anything. All you got to do is worry about, I used to playing it with the open D and G string, but the way it's tabbed there, it's the same notes. So I'll just play it how it's tabbed, but all you got to do is worry about hitting it, hit the chord and cut it off. Here you do want to cut it off. You hear how, like when I go to do the muting, there's a little bit of noises coming through there. So that's all it really is. Don't worry about that. And you might have a question now. I was like, well, how am I supposed to know? It's more of an experience thing, because without them leaving a note like above it saying to not play it, well, it was kind of, I wouldn't have put it in there. If I was transcribing this, I would not have put that little X in there over and over again. It's pointless. You're not actually supposed to try and play that. I guarantee that no one, well, Mr. Blackmore is not thinking, I have to make sure that this little noise comes out every single time. Ain't happening. That's just the nature of rock guitar and having distortion on. So that's all that is. So hopefully that answers that question there. It makes it easier for you to play this. So ignore those little pick noise things there. See, is there anything else besides that main riff? Doesn't look like it. Yeah. Sometimes there will be string breaks that have to happen. But for this example, not necessary. Okay. Let's get to this. It did not pop up on the screen. Now we got it. Okay. Quick coffee time. Alright, so this guy, just do the usual, work it to 120 and call it there, and just be extra focused that you have no chord cutoff when you're changing chords. So here's what we got at 60. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Really keep that pressure down. Keep the pressure down. Keep the pressure down. Here it is at 90. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4 down. Yeah, as long as you keep the pressure down, you should be okay. 120. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. 1 and 2, 3 and 4 down. Let's see. Number 2. Alright, 60 beats a minute. 1, 2, keep the pressure down. That was a terrible count. And keep the pressure down. 1 and 2 and 4. 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 So remember, on this, you gotta wait for that upstroke to transition to the other chord. So make sure that you wait, and then sync up both the left hand movement and the right hand movement at the same time. You don't want one to go before the other. Alright, 90 beats a minute. Keep the pressure down. 1 and 2 and 4. 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 And the top speed to reach 120. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know why I thought I played that wrong. Did I? I think I did. I did play it wrong. That's why I thought I played it wrong, because I did. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 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 4. All right. Number 3, standard rhythm. Again, just making sure you keep pressure down and shift both hands here. Just make sure that you keep that C5 ringing across, all of that. Don't let off that pressure. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4, and 2. 3, 4, and 2, 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 3, 4, and done. 91, 2, 3, 4, and 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 done. That's 120. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 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 done. Right, number 4. So make sure you can count it with the click before you start applying the chords. So let's start with that. I'll count off 4 so you know when I'm going to begin. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 4. 1 and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 4. 1 and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 2, 3, 4, and done. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 4. 1 and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 2, 1, 2, and 4. 1 and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 and 2, 3, 4 and done. Number 90. 90 beats a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2 and 4. 1 and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 and 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 4. 1 and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 and 2, 3, 4 and done. 120. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2 and 4. 1 and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 and 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2 and 4. 1 and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 and 2, 3, 4 and done. All right. I think that covers it all. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll see you again on Monday.